Stage 12 of the Giro d'Italia is a strange looking one, pretty flat for most of the day, and then we head very briefly into the hills. It's an uphill finish, some short but very, very steep ramps, and we're moving into the province of the Veneto. Northeast of Italy, just before we get to the mountains, remember, one more sprint stage on Friday, then it's time trial and real mountains on Saturday and Sunday. Today we head up to the sanctuary of Santa Maria at Monte Berico. Let's go and join Juan Antonio Fletcher. First, Ashley House.
Hello everybody, welcome to Giro Extra, coming to you live today from Vicenza, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that is famous for its Olympic theatre. And that could be appropriate today because with 3 categorised climbs in the last 55 kilometres of today's race, we're bound to see some drama on this stage. Juan Antonio Fletcher is with me, as always, of course. Juan Antonio, the last 3 stages have been won by riders from the breakaway. There is a breakaway of 5 riders today. They've got about just over a minute ahead of the peloton with 80 kilometres ridden. Should we expect to see another breakaway winner today?
I'm afraid not. I would say it's going to be something different today. The reason why is because today the first part of the stage is completely, mainly flat. So we just see one good climber going on the breakaway and the rest are not, not that good climbers. So it's different than what we saw, especially yesterday. So most of the riders in the breakaway, they were great climbers, riders that they could climb very well and make it over those climbs easily. Today is something different, so I really expect very good control from the bunch, chasing that breakaway down, and we will see a small group, 50, 60, 70 riders maximum making it to the finish line and going for that victory.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about today's stage, which, as you can see, finishes in a beautiful town of Vicenza. It is raining, the riders are riding into a headwind, but before we look at today, let's look back at what happened yesterday.
Stage 11 took us to Imola, and with it all the motor racing and Formula One history. It will be a Russian brand new star, ๊dʒiːro, who would take the win. 6th time that the breakaway made it to the finish in this Giro. Ďakárin was initially part of a 10-man escape group they put together after 40 kilometres of racing. The group got a maximum advantage of around 4 minutes. With the group, several strong guys. Hajdar was there, in Chalsti, already a winner in the Giro. Riding behind, you saw Tinkoff Saxo. In the rain, in miserable conditions, Alberto Contador, Fabio Aru and Richie Porte, who had been penalised 2 minutes for that wheel change the day before. Ďakárin made his decisive move with 23 kilometres to go. The Russian attacking on the little hill of the finishing circuit. None of the escapees were able to follow him. All alone at the front, he was showing exactly what a top time trialist he is. Orica Green Edge were the only team riding behind. Ever so strange, Rigoberto Urán is having one of those ever so strange Giros. On the ground yet again, crashing, this time not losing more time, held back by a succession of team cars. On the last climb, behind the winner Ďakárin, Alberto Contador surprised everybody by making an attack. He noticed that perhaps Fabio Aru wasn't on a good day. Aru, for the first time in this Giro, unable to follow. There wasn't any real terrain to get seconds out, but a good psychological blow for Contador to land before the big mountains. Up at the front, we saw ๊dʒiːro managing to stay clear from the rest of the breakaway. The Russian winning the 11th stage of this Giro, a 20th win for Katusha in this season. Betancourt came second, Pelizzotti third, Ďakárin grabbing his first ever Grand Tour victory. Favourites finished all together behind the breakaway, and Contador would retain his pink jersey. In the overall general classification, he still leads by 3 seconds from Fabio Aru.
So you've seen the general classification there with Alberto Contador still in the pink jersey, and he surprised not just us but the riders around him yesterday with a little attack with 7k to go.
Yeah, he absolutely surprised everybody there because, you know, nowadays it's like everything's like too planned and everything's calculated with SRMs, power meters. people analyze every single thing, and so they kind of plan the attacks, but Alberto is still like just sometimes following his instincts, seeing what he sees from the race, and he just tries. I mean, when nobody's expecting him on the attack, there's a place where he's going, you know, and that's sometimes where he's gaining big races, like he did in Vuelta a España in 2012, sorry. He wanted to attack on a stage that no one was expecting him to go from that far away from the finish. Those characteristics make him so special and so unique, and I like to remember always that it's been so far in the last probably 10 years the rider that's winning more Grand Tours. He's the rider more consistent, more solid, so he's got a lot of experience on how to go and when on the attack, and that's what he did yesterday.
It is what he did yesterday, and he spoke to you about that instinctive nature of when he chooses to attack after the stage when he talked to Giro Extra.
Alberto, nos ha sorprendido a todos con ese ataque.
Alberto, you surprised us today with this attack. What happened? Oh yeah, thanks. There weren't many possibilities today with the terrain, but my instinct just told me to do it because I felt that it was maybe tough for some riders. Wasn't easy. Some were really not in shape, I think, so I just had a go. I think we've got the same instinct, you and I. And on television we saw that Astana was looking at each other, being very careful. And they were a bit like, hey, what's happened? But it was great to see you because obviously you really just felt it in the moment and had a go. You know that every day is important in a big Grand Tour. And sometimes you just have to bare your teeth to your rivals, show off a bit. Even if it's not the right time, you just have to try and have a go. There was no terrain to really attack on today, but it was nice to show it. Thank you. Nice to see you like that, Alberto.
Alberto talking about baring his teeth. There are some very, very steep sections towards the end of today's stage. Do you expect Alberto to bare his teeth?
Yes, I think narrow roads, steep climbs, why not? I mean, Alberto, he will definitely, maybe not for gaining any more time on GC, just for seeing who's reacting on his attack, the way they are reacting on this attack, and especially just make them more nervous, because you normally don't expect a pink jersey go on the attack such a stage. That's what Alberto is doing sometimes. So if we follow his pattern, if we follow Alberto's statistics, you like them, you love them a lot. In the past, he will probably go again today.
Always expect the unexpected with Alberto Contador. I want to have a word about Etix's Quick Steps GC contender Rigoberto Urán. He had terrible luck, bronchitis for the first week of the Giro, and then a crash yesterday as well. He did make it back to the bunch after the crash, and in fact Etix's Quick Step has said he's okay. Talk to us a bit about him and what he showed yesterday.
Well, he's a top, I mean, he's not maybe a top favorite. He was close to win the Giro d'Italia last year, but still, he still needs to show more for me, not top favorite, but it's a great outsider. He's a rider that can ride a good and strong time trial and can climb very well. So he's still there. That's why he's still 6th on GC. Unfortunately, this year he was carrying and coming from an illness from Tour of Romandy, the previous race before the Giro d'Italia, and he crashed yesterday. So that makes him still like having to battle on unexpected situations for him. So that's the last thing you want when you want to win or be in the podium on a Grand Tour. But he's a tough guy. He's Colombian. He will still be there, even if he's like with a lot of wounds and still that bronchitis going on or not completely 100%. I guarantee he will fight for the race and will be present of the race for sure.
Well, we're bound to see Rigoberto Urán today. Try to keep up with the rest of the GC contenders. So let's have a look at the profile that the riders are riding in today's stage.
Ten stages to go. Stage 12 from Imola to Vicenza and Monteberico. 3 out of 5 on the difficulty rating by the organisers. 190 kilometres, the first 2/3 of which are completely plan flat. 3 King of the Mountains points. The last one is very interesting. Big ramps on which to attack.
So that's today's stage profile. The riders, incidentally, the breakaway are at about 90k. They've got 2 minutes over the rest of the peloton, and in that breakaway group is Kenny Elissonde, who, as Juan Antonio talked about earlier, was a good climber. Now in 2013 the Giro d'Italia had a stage that finished here, starting in Caravaggio, and 5 of the top 10 that day are riding today's stage, including the winner Giovanni Visconti, and he took a superb stage win for Movistar that day.
Yes, he did. He went from the bunch. I mean, there was a breakaway that day, and he chased that breakaway down from, he made an attack from the bunch, made it on that breakaway, and from that breakaway he went solo. Was similar stage than today, and so he was not this finish, they were coming over this climb, but he managed to have a fabulous victory. That's something, I mean, every rider is dreaming always, to have a victory by your own, going on your own and just winning and enjoying that victory by yourself, and that's what he did that day. And he was coming from another victory in Galibier, so that year Giovanni Visconti, especially in that week, he was having a great condition, and I think he's still having that good condition because he's showing a great performance so far, and especially in Avetone and many other days. He haven't been that lucky because it's puncture and critical situations in some moments. But why not? We should think about him.
And Movistar actually have great chances today. We spoke to one of their DSs the other day, didn't we, who said that they're approaching stages like classics. And with Beñat Inchausti, who's up there in the blue jersey, Lobato as well, Movistar could show today.
Yeah, Movistar is a team that's always present. It's a big team, and every single race you kind of forget about them, but all of a sudden you say, oh, they already won a stage, or they already won 2 stages. Now, that's the situation. They have in the mountains jersey with Inchausti, they won a stage, they've been second with Lobato. Inchausti was again in the record yesterday, so that gives them a lot of credit, that credibility, of course, and that gives them a lot of, that tells us a lot what we could and we can expect and we have to expect from them, especially a day like today. I won't say it's a perfect finish for Lobato. He's super fast guy. Some riders like Mark Cavendish, they already giving a lot of praise to him and a lot of respect. He was second, the Ulisi won in Fuji, but today I'm afraid it's going to be a little bit too much for him, a little bit too steep, but why not? It's a Grand Tour. It's been quite a difficult race, and he's looking very lean, Ashley. I've seen him in the rest day, and he's looking great. I mean, I'm not saying he's having best of his chances, but he still has some chances for today's stage.
So certainly keep an eye on Movistar, and definitely one other team to keep an eye on today is Orica Green Edge. They invited Giro Extra onto their bus this morning for the team briefing.
All right, guys. It's a big day today. It's a big day today. It's one of the stages that we spoke about before the race that suits the characteristics of riders in our team. And first, Julian's going to explain the weather conditions and a little bit about the course profiles today.
So I've been through the weather today. Worst thing is there's a high chance of showers second half of the stage today. The wind's coming off the ocean. It's only going to be light winds, 10 to 14 k an hour. Cloudy weather at the start. Once we get up in here into the final where the climbs are, we're in amongst ups and downs and valleys and stuff, so the wind probably won't be a factor. Like I said, the rain, the real high chance of rain at the finish today. So that'll be. A lot of rain?
Like heavy showers?
No, just showers. Yeah, it won't be heavy rain, but a high chance of showers. Yeah.
Very sporadic too, like it might be raining there and not raining there, so real sporadic. Oh, it's fun. Explain. Also, when we get this section through here, the first part of the race is very open and exposed. It shouldn't matter too much, and then the closer we get into the final there, and actually in the city there, it is normal suburbs, so the wind will be as less of a factor. As far as our tactics for today, guys, obviously in days that we do want to factor in the final, there's 2 ways of going about it. We can either pop someone in the breakaway, or we can control the breakaway to the best of what suits us the best. So I'm easy with either, guys. You either go in the breakaway today, or be in a breakaway that only let a breakaway go away. That's a small group of guys that if we have to chase with the help of other teams, it's a lot easier to control. But I'm more than happy for guys to go in the breakaway today. We've got some great guys with some good legs, so either option works for us today. But whatever happens, we don't let a big group go from the start. When we're getting towards the middle part of the stage today, obviously we've talked about the profiles in the final. There are some very, very hard climbs today. Obviously, looking after our leaders into those climbs, so they have very good position for the start of the climbs, because there are some very, very steep percentages, and also the descents, especially when the rain is predicted for later in the afternoon. Obviously, when the race is going very fast in the rain, the safest place to be is obviously around the GC guys. And as we've seen that right throughout the tour, the key GC teams are doing a very good job at looking after the riders, and that's the place that we need to be. When we come and run into the final, we spoke a little bit about the run into the final there. It's not too technical a final, but we obviously, if it is a group that comes together on the line, we want to obviously place our leaders into good positions so they can get a free and clear open road at the final. So yeah, obviously, if you've got any questions, we already spoke about it. And all the best today, guys. It's a stage that we really want to do well in, so give our leaders every option.
Great to hear from Matthew White there of Orica Greenedge, explaining that they want to be not too far, not let the breakaway go too much. And I should say that it is Orica Greenedge who are leading the peloton as they reduce the gap that breakaway has from 2 minutes just over earlier on. It's now about a minute and a half. I should also tell you, behind me you can see the finish, and the last 1 kilometre of this today's stage has an average of 7%, and the last few hundred metres is very steep at about 11. It's so steep, Juan Antonio, that this morning when I had my coffee sitting in one of the cafes there, I actually fell off my chair. But it does mean that it's built for Michael Matthews.
I can't believe I missed it, actually. Definitely I won't miss it again. So it is steep. I mean, you can fall from everywhere, even me. But this is, we warranty, especially Ashley, that it's quite steep. Is it soft?
Yeah, it's pretty hard, yeah.
Okay, no, it's hard. So, yeah, so it's a 300 meters climb at 11%, so that's tough for riders. But Michael Matthews, he's been riding very strong classic season. He showed already, especially in Amsterdam Gold Race, how good he's on such a finish line. That's why probably Orica Green is already controlling and keeping that breakaway so close all the time. They don't want to have any surprise again, as they did in some other stages, as Lotto Soudal have the other day. They couldn't chase the breakaway down, so they really want to keep that breakaway close to the bunch, control the race, and make it very perfectly for Matthews. I mean, they will really lead Matthews out. I would really expect maybe Simon Guerra's doing that main job in the final.
Okay, so that's good. We're going to see Orica Greenedge. We are already seeing them on the front of the peloton. Let's change tack now slightly, and hopefully for the last time talk about Richie Porte and Wheelgate. This morning, the head of UCI, Brian Cookson, came to the start of the stage at this year's Giro d'Italia, and our reporter Vincent Renaud spoke to him.
UCI was a center of quite a controversy about the 2 minutes penalty for Richie Porte. What is your answer for those who say that 2 minutes it's a lot, or it's a bad thing?
Well, this is not a new rule. It's been in the books for many, many decades. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect riders and teams to know what the rules are and what the consequences are of breaking the rules. That said, I can understand that in the heat of the excitement of a race at such a critical stage, these things happen. But nevertheless, the commissaires took the decision, the correct decision in my view, and in any case I don't think it would ever be appropriate for me as president to interfere in that. That's their job, they've done a good job, and I fully support them.
But there's many voices who say that after that we can change a bit this rule.
Well, I think it could be said maybe that penalty was a little bit on the harsh side, but as I said, look, it's not a new rule, it's not a new penalty. I think it's not unreasonable to expect that the teams understand the consequences of breaking the rules.
So that was Brian Cookson talking to Giro Extra. What's your reaction to what he said, Juan Antonio?
Well, he's just explaining us, again, the same more or less thing. I mean, rules, decision from the jury. Someone has to take a decision. In this case, where the jury was normally always taking some decisions, and most of the times I'm right and other times not. But I think the situation is what it is, and Rich is now on that situation, unfortunately for him. But yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way he's gonna have to race for the coming race, and sometimes in your cycling career things like that happens. I mean, it's not what you expect, and sometimes you make some mistakes, other times not, and yeah, this time it happened to Richie, and yeah, he will deal with that probably, and there's not much he can do at the moment. I mean, it's already how many days, 2 days since that happened, and nobody's talking anymore about Alberto's shoulder, so probably in 5 days' time we won't think about this issue anymore.
Let's stay with Richie Porte, though. There was an article this morning in L'Equipe newspaper in France, written by a very well-respected cycling journalist, Philippe Brunel. He's talking about the motorhome, the fact that Richie took a helicopter instead of the coach on the long transfer. And he's asking the question, is it good for the team when the leader or one member is isolated so much?
Well, I read that article, and Philippe especially, I think it's talking also about the isolation and also about the different treatment when a leader, a team leader, is having from the team comparing to the other teammates. I think that's normal. I think that's in every team. I mean, we've seen many other team leaders having different treatment, different favors, but that's okay. That's the way cycling it's been for years. Isolation-wise, well, I was at the press conference of this guy, and yeah, I remember very well what team principal Dave Bradford said about that. He said, well, listen, there are 9 riders in the team, so that means one rider has to sleep by his own. I mean, no matter. In that case, the rider has to sleep alone, and by his own is the leader of the team, Richie Porte, and Dave was also talking about the fact that they are eating. All the riders are eating at the track. They have a track that it's a kitchen also, which many other teams have. And so the riders at the end, they need to pass next to Richie's motorhome. They're all eating together. And that's also a remarkable thing from Dave Bradford. He said, well, the riders are spending a lot of hours together. They're going to the stage in the bus. They're doing a lot of things together. And at the end, it's just some hours that the riders sleeping. So isolation, it's going to be especially after listening to Dave Bradford's explanation about that at the press conference.
Well, Juan Antonio, we're going to go to live pictures now. That breakaway of 5 riders includes 2 Italians and Kenny Elissonde, as we said. They've got 90k still to go. The rain has started coming down quite significantly. So, here we go. I've got myself an umbrella hat, and Juan Antonio, here's one for you.
No, please. I don't want to feel like you from the chair with the coffee and having this umbrella.
Okay, don't touch the hair. Don't touch the hair. We'll see you after today's stage. Enjoy the live pictures on the home of cycling, Eurosport.
Bye.
Aye, indeed. It's like Blackpool Pleasure Beach down there. At least they didn't get the ones that were spinning round on the top of their head. Good afternoon, everybody. 89 kilometres to go on stage 12. It's the Giro, and moving into the Veneto. Might be raining at the finish, but the sunshine on the race at the moment. 88 k's away. They're still on the flat part. It's a funny stage today. Completely flat. A really fast start. 52 kilometres in the first hour. Just over 52 kilometres, in fact. It's only just calmed down to the last half an hour or so. A break of 5 has gone away. Patrick Gretsch is there with Davide Apollonio. Enrico Barbin for Bardiani as well. Kenny Elissonde, the Frenchman, as we head towards Rovigo. And Nicky van der Leke from Lotto NL Jumbo. Heading into the northeast of the country today. Last chance before Milan for the sprinters tomorrow. Today, most of the sprinters with the rhythm we've had and with the possible plans of the likes of Astana. More of that in just a moment time. they could be out the game by the time we get to the finish. We've 3 classified climbs, a couple of extra ones to put in. They're not long climbs, but there's some very, very steep ramps. We're talking 17% in places today on the penultimate climb of the day, and on the finish, 10, 11, 12% to the line in the last few hundred meters. Big day to come then on the Giro. We're heading to Vicenza, the home of Campagnolo. Lots of history to talk about, lots of beautiful cuisine as well. The racing, though, taking centre stage. We'll see you in just a minute as we're back for stage 12.